Hey everyone, have I here been a video on Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle. In this video, we're going to be doing our full breakdown and some fun little team builds for the Dokkan Festival exclusive Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta Mini Daima. So with that, if you're new to my channel, like, subscribe, comment below, do all that good stuff. Let's go ahead and dive right in. So of course, how we start off these videos, we're going to look at the card arts. And yeah, it looks right from the anime. It looks great. Looks very similar to the color schemes in terms of the Daima Goku. So nothing too over the top. Nothing too also additionally interesting either. I love the Gatling gun. Look there. Can't wait for other units to come out in the future in terms of Daima. That's going to be really fun. But let's look at the unit in of itself. Starting with the baseline stats here, I really wish it was a little bit higher in terms of defense at 11,000. Would have been nice to see at 12 or even 13. You're seeing Dokkan Festival exclusives going to be at 16,000. We're right now used to seeing 20 to 21,000 from the LRs of the 10-year anniversary. But of course, this is kind of coming back down into reality from that crazy 10-year anniversary. So this is kind of, average stats in terms of Dokkan Festival exclusive TURs. Now let's look at the unit in of itself. Look at the leader skill. So the leader skill is telling us that we are now in the 200, 170%, and then 50% additional boost. So 250, 220 meta, just like the tag units, the Super Vegeta and Super Gogeta from the 10-year anniversary. Now we have our first Dokkan Festival exclusive with that same leader skill. Now the only issue here is it has two categories and only one additional category to get the boost, so very limiting in terms of team builds. But like transformation boost is huge. There's a huge amount of great units you can use on there, but not, I won't say not many, but there's a lot that have that's not Power Beyond Super Saiyan that I wish we can use at 250 and 220%. So but we'll talk about teams in a second. So let's look at the super attack here. It is raises attack and defense by 33% for 3 turns, which again, we rarely see this where you actually have the exact increase here. So 33% for 3 turns. So kind of a mini stack, and causes immense damage to enemy, and then raises allies defense by 33% for 1 turn, self-excluded. Initially, like, you're looking at this unit here and it's looking pretty solid with the damage mitigation and stuff like that. Here they could have done something a little bit better in terms of this. I think getting 50%, like just greatly raising attack and defense for 3 turns, would have been a lot better than just a 33%. He needs just a little bit of extra boost in terms of his defense, and that would have been, I think, a lot better. But we're stuck with 33%. That's fine. So the entrance animation, there's really nothing. You just no restriction. You just go ahead and come in, and you just boom. Here you go. Take a chance, or get a chance of performing a critical hit and damage reduction of 20%, and foresees enemy super attack for 1 turn. Here's the issue here, right? This unit is already going to be at 70%, so this gives us 90% in the first turn. The first turn isn't the most important issue. Now, again, this is very helpful in formidable foes, but in red zone, it would have been nice to see something added on here that's going to be more permanent. But I definitely understand, why maybe they've done it this way, just for like formidable foes, is probably maybe the purpose of this here. Now, I think when we initially saw this is going to be very solid here. Base effects, key +3, attack and defense 200%. And then damage mitigation 50%, which is very good. And then attack in the first slot 1, you're gonna get an additional 20% to damage reduction, giving yourself a 70%. And then on the first turn, 90%. So you're not gonna take any damage that first turn. If your first or second attack in turn, you have attack 50%, and then performing a critical hit for 30%. And then once receiving an attack, you get 200% defense, and then launches additional super attack after receiving an attack, and then after receiving a super attack, launches an additional super attack as well. So here's the biggest issue. Oops, I turned the mic off. Give me 1 second. The issue here is the amount of defense this unit has, which is 200% here and 200% here, and then the 30% boost from there, seemingly isn't enough for your top tier for at damage mitigation at 70%. So we've been seeing a lot of guard units with damage reduction 50% or more, and that's where we want to see more units deal with the top tier end game. But I would say 99% of the end game or red zone fights, I think this unit does fine in like formidable foes. That's going to be where it's going to be interesting in terms of the aging of this unit, because this unit with just 70% damage mitigation and doesn't have the ability to increase its defense on a more consistent basis versus just receiving an attack. It would have been nice to see, like, after 4 super attacks, get an additional 50% boost, something of that nature to increase the base defense. It would have been nice also to see, like, in the second position or in the third position, so you can have a little bit more flexibility where this unit goes, like high chance of dodge or high chance of guarding or something of that nature that could at least remove him away from first position, because that additional 20% is so useful. Now, can you move this unit in second or third position? Sure. You just got to be careful, right? You just got to be careful in terms of that. So, and we'll talk about that in the team builds here. So that's this unit here. Let's look at the additional active skill that he has. So greatly raises attack temporarily and causes ultimate damage to enemy, and then attack 33% for 1 turn. It would have been nice to actually see a permanent buff there. And then can be activated after performing 5 or more super attacks in a battle once only, which is actually not that hard to do, because after receiving an attack in first position, you're going to get a guaranteed super attack right there, and then you're going to get your normal super attack. And if you get an additional super attack, you do another additional super attack, so you can get a nice little boost there and actually get this activation. It would have been nice. This also, they could have added like the active skill here, Gatling gun, and then attack 20%, defense of 20%, and it's forever, or for 6 turns, or for even 3 turns would have been nice, on that. But again, I'm just looking for areas where they could have had some pieces that's going to increase his survivability. But again, 99% of the fights you're going to do all right with. All right, so I think it's solid unit, not your top tier units comparable to the 10-year anniversary units that we have, but still some better than this unit's still better than a few of your 10-year anniversary units. So link skills here: Saiyan Warrior Race, Super Saiyan, Golden Warrior, Royal Lineage, Prodigies, then Breaking 4, and Fierce Battle. And then it's on, at least it's on a bunch of different categories, so you could use on multitude of different teams. And again, it's a good first position unit. It could be better, but you do want to run him with LR Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyan 4 Goku, right? So that's going to be very, very beneficial for him to have some survival down the road. So let's talk about the teams that he's able to run with. These units here basically provide the opportunities for that 250 and 220%. And there's actually a lot of good units on here, but there is an issue, and we'll talk about that in 1 second here as we dive into the team builds. All right, let's start with the 250, 220. So, I know the Super Saiyan 3 Super EZA Vegeta has not released yet from when I'm recording this video, but of course it will release in a couple of days. So if you're watching this a little bit later, you can kind of see, okay, where does the unit go? And I just put him here as a flow. I wish that unit supported. We've been seeing a lot of Super EZA units support, and for some apparent reason, I thought he was going to support. For some apparent reason, they did not give Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta some sort of support, like +1 a key and 40% to defense, or 30% to defense, whatever it could have been. We've seen a lot of that, and I think that's a huge miss, because it would have been nice to have an additional support unit. And to be honest with you, there's really not much support that you can run on the main team for Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. And that's a shame, right? Of course, we have LR34 here. That's going to help out with once he transforms, that 10% damage mitigation, the defensive boost on there. That's fantastic. But again, if he's going to be stuck in slot 1 at that 70% damage mitigation, once you're fighting enemies that are able to do like 3-4 million in super attack, which is like a lot of them, you might have some issues, right? You might have some issues. So I would say you got to build up his defensive boost, maybe give some defensive equips and stuff like that. And I think he will perform fine, generally speaking. All right, so just not top tier level. Now, when you're looking at this unit here as well, these are all the units that are at least pretty decent enough to run at 250, 220. Once you open it up to just the 170, 200%, then you actually have a pretty decent support unit in Janemba. So Janemba is a all allies key +2, 40% to defense. So that will help out. And then you can add other units on here like Tech UI Goku, which I'm not sure where I missed him on there. And then you have like Buhan. But of course, you can also add then Grade 8 Vegeta. But here's the problem with Grade 8 Vegeta. That's a slot 1 unit. And where are you going to put this unit here? Now, are you going to move this guy over? Right? And you're not going to remove these two guys in the main rotation. So it's very crowded, this team here. And much like the Daima Goku, right, you don't have a lot of flexibility in the main rotation. Because Daima Goku is the same way. It's first position or second position. Whereas Vegeta is actually more first position than anything else. So it's like, where do I put Grade 8 Vegeta on here? I'm not gonna, move this guy in second position and move some of these individuals on there. We have some ideas what we can do. And then also, when you're using the 200%, 170% without the 50% boost, both the Dokkan Festival exclusive LR 10-year anniversary LR, Super Gogeta and Super Vegeta, are also available on this team here as well. But again, where do you put them? You don't put them in slot 2, right? Because you need the Super Saiyan. Super Saiyan Gods running at 250 and 220%, I would say, is probably better than 170%, 200% 10-year anniversary units. You're not gonna move LR34, right? Because Vegeta needs him for the buff. So that's where you're gonna have to put them as floaters. So are you gonna put them, take them out versus like Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta? Are you gonna take out Gohan? Are you gonna take out Gogeta there, right? So, Gotenks there. Those are your spots that you're able to move around, and in third position, they can be okay, but you kind of want some stacks involved with Super Vegeta. It's a very crowded team. So another thing you can do is move the Vegeta as a floater. This is probably the better team, to be honest with you, using the Vegeta as just a floater unit. Yes, you're only going to get 50% damage mitigation. You're going to get some additional stacks before you get supered. And you're definitely going to take a lot more damage. But I'm looking at Broly and Grade 8 Vegeta in first position. Even though he's running at 170%, he's going to do just fine, right? Guard and damage mitigation. And then if you want to run Gotenks or a different floater on there, or even Janemba, now you have a little bit more defensive boost there. That works as well. So this is, again, very similar to Daima. So I'm going to actually run Daima right here. It's crowded. And the flexibility, like the bench strength on this team is fantastic. It's a huge bench, right? A lot of different options you can run. However, you can't really run them in first position, or you can't run them in the main rotation. It kind of doesn't make any sense to remove the Gods or LR34 from the main rotation. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with this unit here. I summoned for him. I got him. I'm very happy. It's cool to see a Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta Daima unit. I think it's great, but ultimately I think we're back to normal, and we're not going to get like super tremendous OP units maybe for a little bit of time. We got to deal with the meta right now, what we have in terms of of these crazy hard events. And we'll see what Sunday brings us on March 18th. But good luck for those who are summoning for this unit here. run him in a multitude of different ways. I didn't even go through all the other teams that he's involved with, but you can kind of see he isn't a put anywhere type of individual, and he's going to do fantastic. He, again, probably a good floater and a good substitute for main rotation, first position if you really need a character. So anyway, with that, if you're new to my channel, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Thank you all for watching. Keep on Dokkaning. We'll catch you next time. Later.